Hey folks, it's Florida Deere. Thanks for joining me today. And in this video, we're going to go over new John Deere tractors that are available on the market and maybe how they relate historically to the tractors of the past that were in their segment. Okay, so I'm going to do the best I can on this video, and there's definitely going to be a lot of differences of opinion on, what was comparable to what is now versus what was back then. And I will say this, we're going to concentrate basically on the last, say, 25 or 30 years, okay? We're not going to go back further than that because, for one, if you're thinking about, getting a used tractor versus a new one, they're not really going to be widely available in good shape after probably 30 years. I'm not saying you couldn't find one, I'm just saying that it's unlikely you're going to find one that doesn't require a lot of extra work. So I'm going to try to keep this video short, which means it's probably not going to be short, but hopefully you'll stick with me to the end, and then you can certainly put your comments on what I had right or what I had wrong, and then I'll try to defend myself maybe, or maybe I'll say you were right. I don't know, we'll see. So first of all, we'll pay a little bit of respect to the past and where John Deere garden tractors started, and that is the 63 John Deere 110, which I believe came with a 7 horsepower single cylinder Kohler that was belt drive. And as you can see in this video, they started as round fenders and then they eventually became the square fenders. And then another fan favorite back from that time period was the John Deere 140, and I've owned a couple of those. You're looking at those right now, and just to give you some idea of where it all started, which was back in the 1960s. So this is the John Deere tractor that most people, when I say most people, I mean the general public, are most familiar with, because you can see them at big box stores like Home Depot or Lowe's. Okay, and technically these are real John Deeres, but you can see you can have them as little as $2,700, and I think the top line we're going to see is $3,600. While they may seem like a lot, it's only because it's 2024, but that is in line with the other tractors you're basically going to see at these big box stores. And are these real John Deeres? Again, yes, John Deere makes them, but they are built at a price point to satisfy certain budgets. So they're going to have thinner material in the frames, the decks, cheaper engines, lighter duty transmissions, those kind of things. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these. These are going to be the low end of John Deere. People will often say they're not real John Deeres, but that's not exactly correct. They aren't the high quality John Deere that can be bought if once we get up to the higher levels, which you'll see in a couple minutes. So a little history on the cheaper end of the John Deere offerings was the Sabre tractor, which was the first one that hit in Home Depots, and so that one was built by MTD. So that one was actually built by a different manufacturer. If you know anything about MTDs, they're really not super great tractors. They're cheap and cheaply made, and if you're on a really super tight budget, I guess they're not a bad tractor to have, but they're not the John Deere quality. The newer stuff, the 100 series, as you can see here, the L100, and they even had a G100 that came out, which was one of their garden tractors. Those, I believe, were made by John Deere, and the current ones are made by John Deere in, I believe, a Tennessee plant, but that's different from where all the other ones are made. So the next level up is the S200 series. Okay, right now you can get an S220 or you can get an S240. There's two 240s, I think, with a 42-inch deck and a 48-inch deck. And as you can see, they're a little bit more expensive than the 100s. And the unusual thing about the 200 series is that you can get them at the big box store or the John Deere dealership. I've never seen a 100 series at a dealership. That may be different at another dealership. I don't know, but any of the ones I've ever seen, they have not carried the 100 series. And as you can see with these, they're a little bit better. They come with a 3-year warranty and a 200-hour limit. So that's showing that there's a little extra backing from John Deere on those with the longer warranty. So at this level, you're getting into the X series, or the Signature series is what John Deere calls it. And at the X300 level, you're looking at lawn tractors, not necessarily garden tractors. So these are going to be still lighter duty, but these are going to be pretty well up there in the quality. So they're going to have your Kawasaki engines, good transmissions if not. The best ones, they're going to have deck materials that are a little thicker, and frames as well. Although again, not the top of the line stuff, but in this segment, you're going to start getting into things like hydraulic lift, hydraulic steering, so you're going to have power steering at this level in some of the select models, and then also four-wheel steer. So you're going to have, a lot of features that are available in the X300 series that were not available in the 100 and 200 series. Plus, you're going to get a 4-year warranty, 300 hours. So John Deere is starting to back it quite a bit more. Although you can see the prices there are also starting to soar quite a bit as well. Starting in the $3,000 to $4,000 range, and then topping out in the mid 700 range. So it's quite a bit more expensive tractor as well. So just a little history on the X300 series. In my opinion, it was very comparable to the LT series, which was your high quality series but without the hydraulic lift or water cooled engines and such. And then you had the LX series, which was your higher end, hydraulic lift, power steering, or water cooled engines that you would get. So John Deere's kind of compressed both of those older series together in just one 300 series. So with the X500 Signature series, we're reaching garden tractor level. So you're going to have a much more robust frame and transaxle. The engines are going to be somewhat similar to the 300 series, although they might be a little bit bigger and stronger. And you'll also have similar decks, but they're generally going to start off with 48 and 54 only in the X500 series. And you're also going to start at a mid $7,000 level, and you're going to be top out on a couple models at over $10,000. So these things are not consumer products, they are capital goods is what I would say. You're going to have to keep these for a long time to get the return on the investment for these. And this is also one of the reasons why sometimes I recommend people look at used John Deeres that are in good shape, because you can avoid these kind of price tags. But these things have, similar to some of the higher features on the X300 series, power steering, hydraulic lift. These have, some of them are four-wheel steer. And so these are, top line garden tractors that are offered at that price point. And they come with a 4-year warranty, which is the same as the 300 series, but they come with 500 hours as opposed to 300 hours. How fitting that worked out. So just a little history on the X500 series. It started in the 200 series, like 240s, 275s, or rather GT275. This was my first tractor, and that girl is actually almost 16 years old now. And that's the GT235, which was your mid-grade GT. And then after the GT series, because you had a GT225 and a 245, you had the big dogs, which was the GX345, and you even had a GX355, which was a diesel. Those had all the hydraulic lift, power steering, liquid-cooled engines. Mine was air-cooled, everything was manual. So that's the difference between those. And again, like the 300 series, John Deere compressed the GT and GX together and fit them into the X500 series. And last but certainly not least is the X700 series, which comes with a 4-year and, yes, of course, 700-hour warranty. So these are the top of the line garden tractors, not just in John Deere, probably the top of the line garden tractors you could get anywhere. Some people would refer to them as Super GTs. The only thing I dislike about these tractors, other than the price, is the goofy wheels that John Deere went with. I don't know why they went with those new age wheels. I think that you'd find them on a John Deere Gator or a golf cart or something, but to me they're not tractor wheels. But these come with electronic fuel injection, gas engines that are liquid cooled, or liquid cooled diesel engines. They come with heavy duty transaxles, super heavy duty frames, the best engines, the best decks. They come with everything: hydraulic lift, power steering, four-wheel steering. They often come with four-wheel drive as well. So these things are decked out, top of the line, and they're also huge money. The top ranges are, over $16,000, almost $17,000 for a garden tractor. I would say at this point in time, you really might want to look into a John Deere 1 Series, 1023, 1025. Just the price jump to those is just a little bit more, and you get a 2,000 hour powertrain limited warranty for 6 years, in addition to just them coming with things like 3-point hitch standard, rear PTO standard, four-wheel drive standard, the diesel engine obviously standard, and they normally come with loaders already. So just a consideration, and I'll get into what these tractors used to be, or their predecessors, what they were like as well. And the predecessor to the current X700 series was the four X5 series, which came out in the 90s. It was the first one to include four-wheel steer. All the engines were liquid-cooled Kawasaki's or the diesel Yanmar, and they were the first ones that had pedal-operated hydrostatic transmissions. After that, in the early 2000s, we got the X4 series and the X5 series, not to be confused with the current X5 series. These were heavier duty, and the X4s were two-wheel drive. The X5s, as you see here, the X595, that was a four-wheel drive, plus it was diesel, because the 9 was the diesel. And after that, you had the X700 series, starting with 700, then going up to X4 or X740, and so the X40 748 was a very sought after tractor. Anyways, I hope you liked this video. I can only cover so much material in a short amount of time, and it wasn't even that short. If you liked the video, hit the like button. I'd appreciate that. And if you wanted to see more content on John Deere garden tractors and 1 Series tractors, you can hit the subscribe button as well. Maybe I'll break down another video separately where I'll cover each of the categories in more depth.